The reasons why young men are becoming so feminized today.
Research shows that almost every major ocean and waterway in the world is polluted to dangerously high levels. We now have many problems with young men not reaching puberty till way late and becoming feminized due to all the high levels of estrogens in our food supply, and a lot of the chemicals that are used in farming are estrogenic. In fact, there's 3 primary classes of pesticides. One class is neurogenic. They're made from the pesticides used in biological warfare that attack the nervous system. The other ones are estrogenic, and those are pesticides that elevate the estrogens in the insect's body so high it disrupts their reproductive cycle. And the third class is glyphosate, which kills the microbiome and kills bacteria and microlife wherever you spray it, also called Roundup.
All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. This article is from theguardian.com. This came out July 11th, 2026. And the headline here, it reads, Spermageddon. Spermageddon is the world facing a male reproductive crisis, all right? How long, oh Lord? Okay? There's a war on masculinity and effeminizing men, all right, which is all part of the plan of the depopulation tactics of the global elite. Okay, and all this does is just plays in the role of the collapse of the society. All right, I want to make that point before we read on to this article here. All right, it's all part of the plan. Okay, you get rid of the men, therefore you get rid of the population. All right, now I brought this out about, it's about 3 years ago, because the feminizing men is just another act of war by these elites, these devils, right?
Just came out in the Epstein files. The elites were purposely trying to lower testosterone in men so that men can't fight back, putting
shocking
estrogen in the water, making men very passive and weak through social media. They're telling them, oh, your masculinity is toxic and you should actually just be super soft and sweet all the time and gentle and never fight against anything. You have to realize that men are much more logical than women. There was no masculinist movement. There was a feminist movement in order to propagandize women because they knew that women were the easier target because we are more emotional. And that's how the left...
I don't know if that's 100% true, but I do know for a fact that there was a propagandized movement funded by the Rockefellers.
Well, one of the things they told me was that, Aaron, what do you think women's liberation was about? And I said, I'm pretty conventional thinking about it at that point. I said, I think it's about women having the right to work, getting equal pay with men, just like they won the right to vote, And he started to laugh. He said, you're an idiot. And I said, why am I an idiot? He said, let me tell you what that was about. We, the Rockefellers, funded that. We funded women's lib, And we're the ones who got all over the newspapers and television, the Rockefeller Foundation. He says, and you want to know why? He says, there were 2 primary reasons. And one reason was we couldn't tax half the population before women's lib. And the second reason was, now we get the kids in school at an early age. We can indoctrinate the kids how to think. It breaks up the family. The kids start looking at the state as the family, as the school, as the officials, as their family, not as the parents teaching them. And so those are the 2 primary reasons for women's lib, which I thought up to that point was a noble thing. When I saw their intentions behind it, where they were coming from when they created it, and the thought of it, I saw the evil behind what I thought was a noble invention.
Yeah, so all this information coming out shows us that this is the end. All right, Micah 2 and verse 1, and it reads, it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. All right, going back to the wicked elite of Esau. All right, the international bankers. Okay, the top Edomites, Amalek. They're the ones that's funding these movements, pushing this this poison. Okay, effeminizing men. Like I said, the war on masculinity. Okay, and I just want to make that point before we go back to the article on the on the Spermageddon, man. Come on, man. All right, we need salvation immediately. Okay. Now, just going back into this article here, this is from America's First Report. It says, pride is a thinly veiled color revolution to destroy Western civilization. That's what it's all about. Feminism, okay, effeminizing men, okay, all these poisons in the water and the food, okay, to kill the testosterone, okay, it's all part of the tactics of the elite, okay. The main goal is what? Depopulation, all right, and that's no longer a mystery, okay. And I just want to make this point from this this quote from this Army colonel right here in the first paragraph here, right? So it says the term color or color revolution is often associated with covert efforts among U.S. and European interests to foment civil unrest within enemy nations. All right, so this is how this is like a ploy to break down society as we see it. Okay, it's often associated with covert efforts among U.S. and European interests to foment civil unrest within enemy nations, and sometimes allied nations, as a means to destabilize their societies. You see that? So this is how, if you want to break down a society, all right, make the women loose, sluts, effeminize the men, poison the population, all those different things that are happening here. It's all meant to destabilize this society. Okay, it says it's a means to destabilize their societies and governments, right? It is essentially fourth generation warfare, right? A concept expanded on by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, a self-professed Satanist, in a white paper titled From PSYOP to Mind War. The goal is straightforward: to go to war against any foreign country or one's own country, as you see what's happening in America here right now, or one's own country by attacking citizenry rather than its armies, or to exploit the target population as a weapon to trigger instability. All right, so this whole pride thing and Moism, okay, the transformism that's been pushed here, okay, it's all an act of war to destabilize society. All right, this is why society, this American society, is headed for death, destruction, okay, fire. You see that? Romans 3:13. Their throat is an open sepulcher. All right, sepulcher is a grave. With their tongues they have used deceit. The poison of asps is under their lips. Yeah, because everything that they push, it's all death. Okay, poison. This Western ideology, this mindset, has been the death of society. Okay, the corruption of the world. Right, Jeremiah, I'm just thinking about that. Jeremiah 51. Okay, Jeremiah 51:7. Jeremiah 51:7, and it reads, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord, in Yahweh Shemeshah's hand, that made all the earth drunken, right? And that's those philosophies, those wines. And like we were talking about this at camp, all these wines that have came forth out of America is really Edomite culture. All right, sexual deviancy, degeneracy, homosexuality, idolatry, Satanism, transformism, feminism. Okay, all these wicked ways contrary to the ways of the Most High. All right, so America, Babylon the Great, is responsible for the corruption of the world. Okay, through those philosophies that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken her wine. See, therefore the nations are mad. Yeah, and by doing so, these nations have forgotten their way. They've been lost through the sins of Babylon, man. But a lot of these nations have over the years have pretty much snapped out of that spell, all right, and rejected, that Western ideology, that Western poison that has corrupted nations. You see that? A lot of nations don't accept that Moism and the rest of that madness, So this is why we're at the brink of war now, man, because a lot of these nations are now beginning to stand up against Babylon the Great. You see that? But it's all part of that. You see, let's go back to Romans 3:13 again. Their throat is an open sepulcher. With their tongues they have used deceit. The poison of asps is under the lips, whose mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Verse 16, destruction and misery are in their ways. You see that? And that's really the product of the elite, man. They're all about destruction, misery, death, corruption. Right? It says, verse 17, in the way of peace have they not known, and there is no fear of the Most High before their eyes. All right, so again, it's all part of the bigger picture, man. Okay, this is all going to play into the collapse of this society as we see it, man. Right? Let's go back to this article here. You know, this is why we keep saying, hey, we need salvation. The earth needs new management. You see that? It's all in the ocean, like you were saying. It's in the ocean, in the water. All right, the stuff that they're putting in the food, the air that we breathe. Okay? And it's through the mercies of Yahweh Shemel Washai that we're able to live, man. All right? Because this shit is crazy. You know? And this is where we at now. And this looks like an old video, you know? Now look where we at now. This is July 11, 2026. This is 2 days ago. Right? Spermageddon is the world facing a male reproductive crisis, right? So it says reports of falling sperm counts and testosterone levels have fueled fears over chemicals, pollution, and modern lifestyles. All right, what is that? Micah 2 and 10. Okay, this is the book of Micah, chapter 2. Okay, bear with me. I was already there. Right? Micah 2 and 10, it says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. See? Because it is polluted, it should destroy you, even with a sore destruction. NLT. Up, be gone. This is no longer your land and home. You have filled it with sin and ruined it completely. And that's exactly what these Edomites did. All right? If you can't see it by now, America is fucking done for, man. Okay? Let's go back here. It says the world is unwittingly walking into a male reproductive crisis. Scientists warned this week as they presented data that revealed an apparent halving of average male testosterone levels over the past 50 years. It says it's mind-blowing that testosterone has declined by 50%. Professor Haggai Levine, which you know that sounds like a small hat, who led the work, told The Guardian that it says this is a lot. Wake up, people, wake up. It says the finding is the latest in a series of recent results that suggest male fertility is in a crisis. Levine's team has previously documented an apparent drastic decline in global sperm counts in what has become to be known as the Spermageddon paper. The issue has become a preoccupation across the political spectrum. All right, let me see if I can just get the summary real quick. All right, this is why the planet Earth needs new management. Okay, come on now. All right, let's pull this up on the left. Let's see what we get. All right, it says the Spermageddon debate. Recent data suggests average male testosterone levels have halved over the past 50 years, leading some scientists to warn of an impending Spermageddon where sperm counts could reach zero by 2045. Come on, man. Okay, and then remember all those people that took them JABs too. Okay, their so-called reproductive health is being affected as well. I remember there was an article, just thinking out loud, not to rant, but there was an article that came out about how they're trying to get rid of the X chromosome. Let me see if I can pull it out real quick. Males, X chromosome, and then it went into like the males. Depletion. I'm just putting something in there. See what we get. Depletion. Like they were trying to get rid of the male chromosome or something that I remember. Let me see. It was like a news article. Yeah, right here. The Y chromosome is disappearing. Is this the end of men? Right? Come on, man. Right? Bear with me. It says the Y chromosome is disappearing. Is this the end of men? The Y chromosome responsible for creating the male sex is on the way out. Come on, man. Right? We at the end, man. There's nothing we can do. All right? All this shit they putting in the food, the water, the air. All right? It says, but something appears to be taking its place. All right? We're not going to read this article, but you get what I'm saying. All right? This place got to go. All right? Let's go back. Back in the read here, it says the skepticism. Many scientists dispute this doomsday narrative. They argue that the data may be cherry-picked, noting that recent studies using more consistent measurement techniques show no substantial decline in overall sperm counts, right? It says, we'll read a little bit more. Okay, potential causes of fertility issues. Metabolic health, highly likely. Experts largely agree that the rising obesity and diabetes rates are significantly lowering testosterone and sperm production. For example, a 1-point increase in BMI is associated with a 2% decrease in testosterone. Environmental factors disputed. While some studies link microplastics, all right, because everybody has microplastics in their bloodstream, okay, in their sperm, this has been out there. And forever chemicals like PFAs to reproductive issues in animals, highly controlled human tissue experiments have shown no changes from these toxins, suggesting that animal models may be misleading. All right, so they're talking some bullshit, man. There's tons of information that's been brought out here, okay, that prove that this is true. Okay, so we got to get the hell out of here, man. Right, real quick. Psalm 140:1. Deliver me, O Lord, Yahweh Shemir Shai, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man. Okay, Esau, Edom, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war. As we brought this out, the poisoning, the straight up poisoning of the food. Okay, GMOs. All right, everything, man. Chemtrails, fluoride in the water. Okay, nothing's safe. Okay, so this is what they're trying to do. They want to reduce the population down to from what 7 billion to 500 million. All right, and they're doing that through what biological warfare, as he was talking about in the video. You know, recently, a few years back, we had them jabs. Okay, it's all part of the plan, man. No denying that, right? Sirach chapter 10. All right, Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 1, it reads, it says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. It says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are they that dwell therein. Right, and see, we're being ruled over by homosexual Satanists, man. Okay? And as they are, so are the people. This is why they're feminizing the men, you know, making the women more masculine. Okay, they're pushing all of this bullshit, man, and so are the people. The people are gonna the society reflects its rulers. Okay, so as the ruler are the people. That's what the scriptures are saying here, man. All right, and this place got to go. It says, verse 3, an unwise king destroyeth his people. All right, what are these global banking elite doing? These Edomites. Okay, they're destroying their people. An unwise king. Esau is an unwise king, man. Okay, this is why the Lord has to set up the elect. Yahweh Shai got to come back, man, and reset this planet Earth. Okay, when the wicked bear of rule, the people mourn, but when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. An unwise king destroyed his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. And that's what the world is waiting on. Okay, the true and rightful rulers of the planet Earth, man. All right, going back to Yahweh Shai and the elect. Verse 4, the point. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, Yahweh Shemir Washai, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. All right, starting with Yahweh Shai and the elect. And that time has come, man. Okay, because hey, as we know, if the Lord didn't speed up them days, right, no flesh would be saved. Let's get that too. Okay, brother had brought out how time is speeding up. Let me add that in there too.
Time is speeding up. If you haven't noticed yet, you must be living under a rock somewhere. You can just Google Mount Athos, Greek monks. They've been there for centuries. So they've been keeping time. They burn candles, so they know when they go into their prayer sessions, they know how long a candle burns because they use the same candle, same source, everything the same, nothing has changed. In 68, when they started noticing the speed up of time, and the candle now burns only 18 or 19 hours, when it used to burn 24 hours. So 68, that's 32, 50, almost 60 years. In 60 years, the time differential has sped up. We're going through a shift. Time is speeding up. If you haven't noticed yet, you must...
Yeah, we're going through a shift. Time is speeding up. And everybody notices that. All right, time is fucking flying. But hey, because we at the end of this thing. You know, this wickedness cannot go on much longer, right? Matthew 24, let me get that. Just hearing this information, we know that that this is about to be a wrap, okay? Matthew 24 and verse 22. All right. Matthew 24, verse 22, and it reads, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, right? Because again, if Esau truly had his way, all right, it wouldn't be anybody saved, wouldn't be no flesh saved alive. Because this man is literally killing everybody and everything. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. There you go. So this is why, as we saw here, this is why have you noticed time moving faster? Okay, there's a shift going on. Okay, we're at the end of Esau's world. Okay, and in the beginning of Jacob followeth, man. That's the time. Okay, Sirach 36. All right, let me get that in the Apocrypha. All right, Sirach 36, just to add on to that. Sirach 36 and 8. All right, this is the book of Sirach 36, or Ecclesiastes chapter 36, verse 7. It says, raise up indignation and pour out wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy, right? Verse 8, the point. Make the time short. Remember the covenant and let them declare thy wonderful works. So the Lord is literally making the time short. He's shortening the days for the elect's sake. Okay? Because if he didn't, again, no flesh would be saved. This is why we're in the so-called male reproductive crisis. This is why, you know, they're trying to, you know, they're warring against masculinity. They're feminizing men. Okay? It's all, you know, being geared towards the collapse of this place, man. This is what they want. This is what they're trying to do. As we read Micah, the second chapter, Micah 2 and 1, because it is in the power of their hands. All right? But understand that Yahweh Shemir Washai is on his way. All right? So we ain't got much longer, man. It's a done deal. Shalom.